Welcome to the Illuminated Path podcast. I'm your host, Liv, founder of Eno Wellness Collective. My wellness journey started with yoga, which led me down the path of exploring healing modalities like meditation, breath work, sound healing, mindset work, and so much more. This exploration inspired my mission to help others find what lights them up. Get comfortable and curious as we learn from experts, teachers, and creators who are lighting up their communities and living an inspired, expansive life. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to another episode of the Illuminated Path podcast, and we are recording today from the beautiful Dusit Beach penthouse, and I am so excited to be welcomed today by Mike and Kristy Carbullido. I've been wanting to get you guys on the show for a while. I know this is one of your first podcasts ever, so super grateful and excited to have you here, and I know the ENA community is going to be loving this episode. So we were talking just before we hit play, and Kristy and I go way back. We've known each other many, many years, and I also have known Mike for a long time as well, from high school on. But I love, that both of you have started this business on Guam, basically brought your passion home, and are now seeing this huge ripple effect within the community. But I want to take us back first before we talk about your work and what you're doing in the community, just to hearing a little bit about how you two met. I have known you both separately, but obviously coming together. How many years are you married now?
10, almost 11.
Okay. So
I was going to say that too.
Would love to know, just how you two got together. I know that San Diego is a piece of your journey too.
Okay. So I was living in San Diego. I was I had just finished school and I was already working. And my good friend, she had her, at the time, boyfriend, now husband, and he was staying there with them. And, the Guam connection, I only always hung out with Guam people. And so basically she introduced us, and that's my story. He thinks that I gave him my number, which I didn't. You could tell your side, but basically our friends introduced us.
And your side?
No, it's that, but I remember, we knew each other through mutual friends, and then we went to, it was a Anuhea concert, I think, at where was
Ocean
that?
Beach.
In Ocean Beach, yeah. And we went there, Podad's, right? Yeah. And we went there, and I remember she asked for my number that night, and then I think that
I gave the wrong number.
No, it was the right number. But I can't remember. I think she messaged me that night or something, and then I messaged her back. And then we just didn't talk for a little bit, and then we came together again.
Yeah, we were always hanging out,
like a family gathering or something.
No, like our friends would always get together, and
gathering.
then we started hanging out. But
Yeah.
I did not.
And then she fell in love.
I did not. I gave the wrong number.
And now we're 10 years in, 10 years of marriage.
Yeah.
And one baby later.
Yes. I know we were talking before about how San Diego is in all of our stories, actually, right? College for me, and also for a piece of your journey. So I know the decision to move home is a big one, right? For anybody that has left and then decided to move home. Obviously family is involved, but for you two, it was also bringing something home with you. So before we talk about that piece of your journey, I do want to just know how you came into falling in love with jiu-jitsu. I know it's different for both of you, right? But for Mike, let's kick it off with you.
Yeah.
When was your first, experience with it? And
So I started jiu-jitsu when I was 13 years old. I think I was just done with 8th grade, going into freshman year. I think it's the true story, right? The true story is someone
He was being bullied.
Yeah, I got like a little altercation, and I wanted to learn how to defend myself. I was like, a kid from Chalampago that I was like, oh, I shouldn't be getting bullied. I was embarrassed because my mom, and so I was like, all right, I'm gonna find something. So I was looking in the newspapers. I would always read the comics in the back area, and then past the comics, there was the section where it always shows the advertisements. Mm-hmm. And so I was looking under martial arts, and then I saw jiu-jitsu. And I had no idea what it was, but it was at Gold's Gym at the time, and I wanted to go check it out. I asked my mom to bring me. I went to Gold's Gym. I walked up the stairs. I looked in the window. I got super nervous and scared, and I walked back down the stairs. I didn't want to. I didn't want to go in. But thank God there was one of my friends working out with his uncle, and I asked him to go in with me. He went in with me. I did the class. He never went back. I went back the next day, and since then I've been doing jiu-jitsu. So that was my introduction into jiu-jitsu was I wanted to learn how to defend myself. Young kid from Guam. I didn't want to my mom to find out I was getting bullied. So I found that and I went there and I loved it. Yeah. I loved
Amazing.
it.
And then when you decided to continue it into San Diego, was that
Yeah.
because you knew a teacher already, or what made you
Yeah.
continue on?
So I started at 13. I started doing it. I found something that I really liked. I enjoyed, and I was always into sports. Growing up, ever since middle school, I played sports in school, all the sports, all four quarters. And then I found jiu-jitsu and yeah, I fell in love with it. I loved it. I always wanted to do it. There was classes in the morning and my mom would allow me sometimes to go to in the morning, and then I would go to school right after. I would go after school, and then we went off. I went off island for the first time to the Philippines for jiu-jitsu when I was like 15 or 14 or 15, and I went without my mom, so it was my first trip, and went with the team, and so I just started to fall more in love with it and I was doing pretty good at it. And so obviously that made me love it even more. And then and yeah, and I guess I had a passion for it, but I didn't realize it was a passion. It was just something I love to do. I love to spend time. All the people there, they were like family. I enjoyed it and I wanted to spend every second doing jujitsu. So finally, when I was 17, I had a choice, to walk down the aisle or go off island to compete at
Graduation aisle.
a graduation aisle. Yeah, or go. Yeah, I wasn't getting married at the time, right?
You have a choice.
Yeah. And I went off island. I chose to go off island. I went and I competed. I experienced California for the first time. And then when I went back home, I decided that I wanted to do it for the rest of my life. And then I moved to San Diego right after I got my diploma. A few months later, I left. Yeah, and then I went off island. Yeah.
So it's there's no plan B, right? This is
There
the
was
passion.
no plan
This
B.
is
You
like
know what's
all
crazy
in.
is I read something recently. It's actually a movie that's out. I wanted to ask you to watch it. I don't know. I forgot what the movie's called. Um, Oh man. Anyways, it's a movie out like literally right now, and it's about I think he's like a ping pong tennis like player,
Mhm.
and it's something about like he has a dream, and a girl asked him like, oh, like but what if it doesn't work out, and he said or she said like, do you make money? He's like, no, not right now. She's like, okay, like have you won like this thing? He's like, no, not yet. And she's like, what if it doesn't work out? And he said, I have, I'm not putting that into my mind. There's no plan B. Because if I have a plan B, then I have, like an option in my mind to, that it's okay to fail because I have this option in the back pocket. But I really do, I resonated with that because, my whole life, I remember, when I was, especially out in the States, I would remember not ever, having a plan B. And I remember I would say those exact words, like no plan B, because I knew I would make it, and of course, young, maybe cocky kid, right? But I don't think it was cockiness. I think it was I just really believed in myself and I just really had a lot of whys on why I wouldn't fail, and that pushed me, that motivated me, and that made me believe in myself. And yeah, so no plan B.
Love it.
Yeah.
You need
Also,
that grit.
At that time, jiu-jitsu wasn't the way it is today. Like
Definitely not many
now, like you
opportunities.
can make a people make a living, they teach seminars, they do all these things, they have gyms. there wasn't a lot of money in jiu-jitsu. Like now they'll pay winners for like super fight stuff. It was not like that when he first started. So like it's obvious, it was a
There was no
huge
kids
risk.
classes
It was
either,
like, yeah, it
right?
was
Yeah,
like he
nothing.
really took a leap and went, and I mean now it's jiu-jitsu is huge, but
Yeah.
at the time it was not
But
big at
truthfully
all.
too, though, like when I did this, I didn't like do it and tell myself, okay, I'm gonna succeed, I'm gonna be a world champion, then I'm gonna open up a school, then I'm gonna have students, I'm gonna make a business. Like I didn't think like that. I was so young. Like I loved training. I loved doing jiu-jitsu. I wanted to go off island, I wanted to go off island. So I loved being off island. And I I just I don't know. I just had faith that just keep doing what you're doing. And I didn't have a plan or anything like that. And I definitely think that like when I met my wife, when I met Kristy, and the more we grew, the more I learned from her. And then the more and also too, when I first went to Atos Jiu-Jitsu, met my professor Andre Gaval, then I started to become more, let's say, professional. I started to become more mature, learn more, and maybe have a more. My vision was able to be more clear, I guess, on what I wanted versus in the future versus just living in the now. And so, yeah.
Beautiful. So I would love to hear your first experience as well with jujitsu, because I imagine, even for him to go to Gold's Gym, to look in the window and think like, this could be a little intimidating.
Yeah.
I imagine for you it was very different
I
too.
did not know anything about jiu-jitsu. And then when we started talking, my friend that introduced us, boyfriend at the time, now husband, was also in jiu-jitsu. And, they would talk about him and his friend. They came from Guam. They're winning all these big tournaments. And so my friend, she's like, oh, he's going to get promoted today to purple belt. You should come. And we were just talking. I was like, no, what am I going to like sit there? Like we were just talking, like what? She's like, you got to get a cake, like everything, she was like really all about it. And I was like, what are we're going to sit there? We're like, I literally had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. So this time he was training a small gym in PB. And I remember we parked on the streets, PB, and it was like a long walk, and I didn't even know what to wear, like, and she was like, it'll be fine. And we walked in, and we even had the cake. We brought it to the gym. Like we brought the cake to the gym. And then I remember we watched him get promoted. And then after we went to where he was staying, which was my friend's house, and then we celebrated his promotion. But I literally had no idea like what was going. We were just starting to talk. And then so that was like my very first experience with just in a gym, like, watching everything. And then, as he was, we started.
Wait,
What?
I'm so sorry. Hold on. Can I real
Yes.
quick? So I totally remember why she gave me her number. I remember now. I
What was
remember
it?
because remember you got a flu shot, right? Didn't you get a flu shot?
Oh yeah, and I was in
See,
pain.
and she was in pain, so she gave me her number in case Nushin doesn't answer.
It's
My
our
roommate,
friend,
right?
our friend, yeah.
In case she doesn't answer because Nushin's a nurse, and she needed me to talk to Nushin, so she asked for my number. So just in case if Nushin doesn't answer.
Yeah, I gave
But
you the
then
wrong number at the
no,
concert,
but then I
I
told
asked Nishan for your.
and then I told Nushin and Gerard, like, oh my God, like Kristy gave me her number, She said this, but I think it's because of this, And anyways, yeah, so I totally remember. Now I remember why.
I love it. We're filling in the
Yeah.
blanks of the
Yeah, sorry
story.
about that.
No,
Yeah.
I love
And
it.
then so when he was started really training at Autos with Professor Andre, I'd work all day, and then I'd go to the gym after it was actually on the way home. I'd go to the gym and I'd stay there and I'd watch every single day, watch him train. And then Professor Andre asked him to start teaching in the kids' classes. So I'd go there, leave work a little bit early so that I can go watch him teach the kids, and then watch him train at night every single night. I don't think I missed before we had Zomu. I don't think I missed a night watching him every single night. And I became best friends with everyone there, all the like significant others. We, do everything together, the moms. Literally I would be there every single day. And then after I had Somus, when I was like, okay, because he started teaching the basics class. Professor Andre asked him to teach the basics class. And I was like, okay, I think I could do this. It's basics class. And then after I had Zomu, I remember I was like, okay, I want to do this, like set goals and get back in shape. And so I started doing his classes.
Oh, he was teaching you.
He was
initially.
teaching.
Oh.
After work, I remember we had a nanny for Zomu, and I'd always tell the nanny, like, on these days, I'm going to not come home straight. I'm going to go to class. And then so I'd leave work a little bit early, go to his class. So I asked Sarah, who's his professor's daughter, to do the class with me. At the time, she was his student, maybe like 11. Maybe she was 11 at the time. And
So
then
dope.
and then his friend's sister, little sister, to do it. She was maybe 16 at the time. And so I asked both of them. Now Sarah's like world champion. She's
literally
superstar,
number 1 in the
number
world.
one. Yeah. But I remember that was my first class, and I was like, you guys have to be my partner. And I only wanted to go with them. And then after that, I would consistently go. And then, sometimes it'd be hard with work and stuff. But then when we opened here on Guam is when I started to do it a little bit more.
But
as
she
much as I
never
can.
wanted to do it.
No, I never,
Like, we
because
got
it was
into
just,
many arguments because I would really try to convince her, but every time she would say no, and then every time she would say, you have to stop asking me.
yeah, because it was very scary, like I was just like, I cannot imagine myself doing that. And I watched it every single day. So I was like, I am not doing this,
But
like
she knew
every,
like,
I would, every competition, every tournament, I knew everything that was going on, but I was like, I'm
it was
not
her
going to
life
do it.
for
I'm
sure.
not going to do it. I'd sit there and watch him like, I cannot do it,
But that was your training
Yes.
for this, right? Of like
Yes.
really, it's not like you just decide, you had another job before, but you were, this was your
Yes.
education behind the scenes
Yes.
getting into this. So when you two decided to move back, and like we were just talking before, we pressed play about how we got into our businesses around the same time. I know you guys are going on year 5, but that decision to leave San Diego, I'm sure it was a hard one, and to come home, also, a challenging one, and to create a brand new space, right? And to really bring this back and to do it differently from how it's being done here, and just to add your own flavor into it. What were some of those conversations like to make the decision?
It was tough,
It was-
for sure.
It was
Yeah.
very hard, very hard. We loved San Diego. I was there for 15 years. He was there for 13. And my whole adult life was in San Diego.
Same as me.
And I think that when we started to have the conversation, it was very exciting. Like, oh, we get to go home, move home. But then as it, like, we started really, it was during COVID, really during COVID. We were always at home. And then it started to really hit us like, oh my God, we're leaving San Diego, and for me, even to this day, like San Diego is a huge part of who we are individually and who we are as a couple and as a family, and leaving the people, just everyday routine. Like sometimes we go to San Diego and we'll stay in the same area, get a hotel in the same area. So the same drive that we'd make every day, I would do the same thing, and it's a huge part of us. But I think for me, at least, like I knew I had to leave my career. So it was 2 big changes for me: moving home, complete change, and then switching almost like, how to say, like my identity almost, like I was doing this. I went to school for this, did my graduate program in this, worked, for 8 years, and then now completely switching, but I knew that this was the next step in his career, in his path. And you, I don't know, sometimes you just have to take a risk and do it, and it was definitely hard at the time, and a lot, like just the change to move home was huge. Sometimes I feel like I'm still adjusting. I'm sure, you feel the same way. And then also for me, switching careers,
Yeah, definitely. And when you think about, I remember going to your space early on. Maybe it was either right when you opened or maybe
Yeah.
even before.
I think a huge
Both.
part of like
Yeah.
the community that we built at Otto's, like you would do, remember you would do yoga classes
Yeah.
for us, and it brought everyone together, like out doing something outside of jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
and I think that's kind of what kickstarted a real like community at Otto's, because we were doing something that wasn't jiu-jitsu but was still bringing everyone together,
Yes.
and I remember like I would talk to you like, I don't know who would do it, but let's just get mats, and then all the times the mats were completely filled. Everyone would show up,
Yeah.
that was so
And I think it was cool too because we we made it where all the members came in with with their same uniform,
Yep.
right? And so it looked really,
Like, this
it
is
looked like a
the
legit
most
class,
disciplined yoga class I've ever
Yeah.
been to. I remember
So
everyone was, like, very much at attention, like, ready to
yeah,
go.
no,
But
it was awesome. Everyone talked about it all the time.
Yeah, people still
They
ask, like, we
loved it.
should do
Yeah.
it. Like,
They
it's
kept asking us like like when we stopped doing it, right? Like they always would ask us like, when is the next one? When is the next one?
oh,
Like yeah, they
I love
loved it.
that. So
So,
when I think about what you guys are building, the big thing that comes to mind is really it goes beyond just doing jujitsu, right? It's the community. And when you opened, almost 5 years ago, what did you expect would happen? Like, did you think, okay, we're gonna get 100 members in? Like, was there something about how it's sort of blown up into what it is that you were prepared for it, or has it been a bit of a surprise?
yeah, I think that so I remember when we we started building out and then we started to market it and we started to get many messages and people inquiring about it and things like that, but it was during COVID, so there was a lot of restrictions and things we had to follow and which we did. And so when we had our like soft opening, right? Like a
yeah, yeah,
pre-opening
yeah.
where it's like, if you come in during this time, you it's a deal, right? For first time members, this and that. And but I remember before we opened our doors, we told each other that that we have no expectations. No expectations. It's a hard time for everyone. We don't want to expect anything because we don't want to be like sad if it doesn't happen. And I remember we told each other that, and maybe an hour goes by, um, with us like setting up and talking like that. And, maybe it's 30 minutes before we're supposed to open and we look outside and I remember was it raining that
It
day
was
or was it really
raining.
sunny? It was one of the
No, it
one of
was
the other
raining. It was
where,
raining.
someone already showed up 30 minutes early. And but we said like, okay, let's go wait first. We saw the door locked, but we noticed they went under the awning of the place
Right.
next door. And so we were like, okay, at least they're okay there. It's raining, but they're under the awning because we were gonna let them in. We're like, all right, still like 20 minutes left. And then we're moving things around and we look outside again, and now there's like a line of like maybe 10 people, and we're like, oh my gosh, what the heck is
And this
happening?
was like, we said we were going to open at 8 so that people can sign up. And so this was even before 8 a.m.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
we were like, oh my gosh, next thing you know, there was like maybe 15
A
people
whole
lined
line
up.
waiting.
Like,
Wow.
and then when we opened our doors and they all came in, it was like, yeah, we felt so blessed and we had no expectations and then it obviously exceeded what we
Yeah, and
expected and
almost all those people who lined up are still with us today.
Yeah,
yeah,
I was just gonna say the
yeah,
people that like there's a sense of loyalty.
Mhm.
yeah.
And why do I mean, I know it's sometimes hard to think about it being in it, but why do you think people are drawn to train with you guys and to be loyal to the community?
Yeah, I definitely think that maybe I don't know, I think me and Christiane, we do our best every day, we try our best, we do our best. We're um man, I mean, I can say, right, we're good people that just do our best for everyone, and I think that we have a passion, right, a passion for jiu-jitsu, a passion for helping our island, for helping our community, and everything I do every day, the way I act even is because of my professor and all the things that he's taught me. And if you walk into San Diego Autos HQ, you walk in there and you can feel the professional environment, but you can also feel the family atmosphere. And I think that's what draws people, thousands of people every day, to go into that gym in San Diego, and I was blessed to work there. I was blessed to learn from there. And everything that I do is from there. And I apply my, what I do on a day to day from my professor. And he's like a father to me, a big brother. And it works, and I think that people they come, they stay for the jiu-jitsu, they stay for the professionalism, and I think they stay for the community. And I hope that it helps people's lives, and it makes them better. They leave better than they came, you know, and I believe that's why they stay. You
I
know,
think
that-
what I've seen, like the experiences he's gotten from Autos and his professor, and then as we were starting to build out the gym, the mentorship, we got a lot from his professor, and his wife Angelica helped me a lot. And then to this day, you know, well, they are so loyal to helping us, and anything we need, you know, we ask them for advice, we ask them for help, and I think just being able to have that connection with them and the experiences he had, and then bringing it to Guam. But then also, I think the way he is with the people that we bring into our space as like other leaders of the gym, I think the way he is with them, and just kind of like the trickling effect, you know, and you know, because all our coaches and instructors, they play a huge role too, I think, and the influence they have also on the entire team, and not just the students, but also like the family members and the parents. And you know, before you got on to the podcast, I was telling you that you know, like the dads like to hang out in the gym, you know, and I think that's something that um the instructors and the coaches kind of created that environment. Like now the dads, they planned a Christmas party at the gym for the kids, and they barbecue. They stay literally every night. They stay in the parking lot. They hang out even when the kids' class is done and they can go home. You know, they're still in the park. Sometimes we even close up the gym and we leave before them. They have the coolers. They just hang out, you know, and I think it's that environment.
family environment.
Yeah, that like
And I
it's really
think,
special to
and
see.
and I think that's also too is maybe to you know, I really believe that our gym changed the culture of jujitsu on the island. Maybe not change like three, you know, black and white, but change, maybe improved, grew, you know,
Elevated.
elevated, yeah. Jujitsu on the island, you know, I grew up in a time when, again, there was no kids classes. There was, you know, everything was backyard style in a way, right? And you know, people are just something as little as taking off your shirt and changing out in the open, and you know, there's other people around, you know, kids, women, things like that. Cussing like openly, right? Like just little stuff like that, you know, and I think that you know, that's something, the culture that was created in the Autos HQ was you know, my professor changed, I think, the culture of jujitsu in the world. You know, he's one of the greatest competitors, one of the greatest coaches of all time, and I truly believe he changed the culture of jujitsu on in the world. You know, he helped change. Right, there was many other greats that did it as well, and I just followed suit here. You know, we keep things professional. You know, we don't have people cussing all over. We don't have people changing. I think that families feel comfortable being at our gym, you know, and I'm very proud of that. You know, it's a something. Yeah.
One thing I remember when we were building out, his professor's wife told me, the one thing you have to remember is you have to create an environment in the space that every single person in a family feels comfortable. Like a mom can drop their child and feel safe. Know that their child is safe, you know, whatever that means. You have to create an environment where anyone can come in and they feel safe and they feel comfortable, you know. And I think it's very cool to see that, like, sometimes a parent will sign their kid up for jiu-jitsu, like, oh, my kid's being bullied, I want to put him in jiu-jitsu, you know. And then the next thing, the dad joins and the mom joins, and then it's literally the whole family. When we go on trips, the whole family competes, not just the child or the dad, you know. It's I think that advice of really creating an environment where everyone feels safe and comfortable, that stuck with us. And I think that's what really helped create this environment we have now, where literally everyone is in the family is doing class, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of competitions, I know that you guys are always bringing back all sorts of medals, and I see that you're traveling and you're bringing these kids on these incredible experiences. And like you said, like the whole family can be competing as well. And it made me think of, for me, at least my version of this is yoga, but I always think of yoga as much more than just what is experienced on the mat. There's so many lessons every single day from being on my yoga mat that I can apply off of my yoga mat. And I notice that the same themes keep coming up. I'm like, okay, I experience this on my yoga mat and I take this into my real life. And I imagine it's very much like that for jiu-jitsu too. So if you were to narrow down like a big theme or something that comes up a lot in jiu-jitsu that you embody in your life or try to embody in your life, what would that be for each of you?
Maybe if it's just one, because like you said, there's
Yeah, there's so
so many
many.
things, so many. Maybe overcoming. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think jujitsu teaches me, teaches everyone how to overcome things. You're always going to be presented with problems, hard moments, and I think jiu-jitsu teaches you to, stay calm under that pressure and work to find a solution, overcome these problems, and you can't, a lot of times you don't make the right decisions. You can't overcome situations if you're angry, if you're upset, you don't think right? So staying clear, staying calm, and overcoming the problems that are in front of you. Not avoiding it, right? It's like someone, I don't know, just I guess a small example would be like, a tough person asking you to roll. You can easily say no because, and it's different if it's like a 400-pound guy asking a 100-pound guy to roll, right? I mean, like, if they're just tough and you're scared, right? I think that you have to overcome that fear. You have to learn to deal with the problem, right? The problem that's at hand, and that's jujitsu. And I think
Mhm.
that's what I apply a lot to my life. Yeah,
Mm.
definitely.
How about for you?
I think for me, maybe it's relationships. I think, jujitsu is jujitsu, and I obviously there's a lot of things to learn from jujitsu, but I think seeing how people do jujitsu and keep coming back because of the relationships they
Mhm.
build in the gym, and then it translates off outside of the mats, outside of the gym. I would say that probably a lot of the people at the gym are now best friends outside of the gym. They celebrate every occasion, every achievement, holidays together. I see the friendships they've built. And then even for me, like the friendships I've made and the relationships that, I have with the parents, the students, the parents, like the kids, I'm obviously like gym mom, Auntie Christy, Nina Christy, to everyone at the gym. I think a lot of jujitsu is you go back because the people, the relationships that you make. And I think it's very cool to see it on the mats. Everyone, we're all friends, we're all super close now. But then to see outside of the mats, like the kids doing things outside of the mats, they have their school friends,
And they were never friends before
yeah, like
this,
these
right?
people had never met, and with jujitsu, it's like all walks of life come into the gym, So you have like people that are friends with people that you would never meet outside of the gym, but now they're best friends. We're friends with like, our oldest student is actually 70, I think 70 today.
Wow.
And he's best friends with some of the younger 20-year-olds, and they group chat it's very cool to see. And I think that's truly like jujitsu is jujitsu, as a sport, as a martial art. But then I think what really makes it is the
Mm,
relationships.
yeah. And that's a testament to both of you. And I do want to ask you about working together because there's, working with partner, there's not that many people doing it, and so you guys, it sounds like you both have a very much like yin and yang balance with each other of like, responsibilities and who does what. But, what has been a lesson of working with your partner and how is it? How do you
You go
divide?
first.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, for sure. I
It's
wouldn't
hard,
expect another
very
answer.
hard. Because when we're at the gym, we're working, but then when we're at home, we're still working.
Yeah.
And I think it's also like uh as an entrepreneur, you work 24/7. But I think honestly, I I always say this. I think he's a good communicator to me. To me, he's a good communicator to me. Like he tells me how he's feeling, like what his thoughts. He really thinks about a lot of things. And I think
Thank you,
that
baby.
okay. I think that helps. Because sometimes I just I'm very my past career, I'm very like just do, not, there is thinking, but it's like I had a method,
Yeah.
to do things. This in this space, you really have to think, you have to talk to people, you really have to, and he's so good at that. And sometimes I'm just like, we got to do. And I think definitely there's a balance. It's hard because when you're consumed with like, this is your career, this is your livelihood, but then we're also married, we're also parents, it becomes a lot. But I think one thing that really helps me is that he's really good at communicating, like telling me not just how he's feeling, but all his thoughts, because then I don't think about these things. I'm like, we got to do admin wise, finance wise, we got to do this, So I think that helps. But it is definitely hard. And I think we're still learning, right, to how to manage everything.
Yeah, I think it's it's definitely tough. I think it's not as tough now versus in the beginning.
Yeah.
I think the beginning it was really tough because we've never done it before,
Yeah, we
right?
did not know what we were
We don't know
doing.
what we were doing, right? But again, I think that I always circle back to this, but it's just because it's what I believe. We've had very good example. We have a very good example, which is my professor Andre Goval and Professor his wife Angelica Galval. They've worked together forever. They have the academy. They run the academy together. They run the business together. They do everything together. They're the best examples to have. He's the greatest father. He's the greatest father I know. He's the greatest husband I know, and I always look to him for as an example, and so I no matter how tough it was in the beginning, I always knew that that it was possible. Of course it is. Andre and Angelica do it, we can do it as well, but it was tough only because for our whole life together, we wouldn't see each other during the day. We wouldn't see each other all day because she would drop me off in the morning. I would go to the gym. She would go to work all day. She would come back to the gym around 6 p.m., 5 p.m., and then we would be together all night, right? And that would be Monday to Friday. Even during COVID time, it was still like that. She would go into a room and she would work all day. She would come out for lunch, go back in. But it was like that. So we wouldn't see each other throughout the day. So, and now when we opened up our business, we moved back home, we were with each other 24/7, right? Like 24/7. So I think just the change in that way, we had to adapt, we had to learn, I think we got upset at each other sometimes, but
A lot of times.
right, yeah. But then we grew from it, we learned from it, and I think it was just a learning curve that we had to get through. Uh, but I think that at that time, I thought that it would be I didn't understand how to do it because I had my way for years, she had her way for years, and that was how, we always lived in that way and it was always working. And then when we started working together and especially too, I had to learn too because, you know, um I'm the one that did jiu-jitsu, right? And so I would I guess in my mind I would have that I would that would be every way that I would think it's right because it's jiu-jitsu. But I was wrong because it was a business too, and Christy obviously knows way more than me about business. Her whole life, she's been involved with this and and so, I had to learn to humble myself, right? That I don't know everything. And it's another thing jiu-jitsu teaches you, right? You never know everything, right? And I had to be reminded about that many times. And thank God for that. And I think the beginning it was tough, but now, we've learned so much and we understand how to work together, how to be together. And we literally are together 24/7. We don't do anything apart from each other.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, babe, I could go to Payless by myself. I just need the time, It's like, I can go with you, babe. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to wrap up our conversation with one final question, and this has been so fun to get to sit down with you too. Like I could,
Thanks for the
we'll have to
opportunity.
bring you
Thanks.
back on for another episode. But if you know, the podcast, we've talked about yoga, breath work, spirituality, manifestation. This is the first time on the podcast we've ever talked about jiu-jitsu. So I know that there's going to be a lot of people that are like, okay, they make it sound like maybe I could try it, right? But there's going to be a lot of people who are on the fence. I'm not sure. I'm scared. And so for people who are listening that have never tried jiu-jitsu, what would you say to them?
Yeah. I know you can have an opinion on this
Yes.
too.
Yes.
I can go first. Yeah, I think jiu-jitsu's for everyone, right? I'm probably biased, but it's the best martial art in the world. It's the best sport in the world. You know, it helps you be in shape. It helps keep your body strong, you know, physically, mentally, spiritually. And I think that everyone should do jiu-jitsu. People always ask, you know, I'm 60 years old. You know, my kid is 5 years old. You know, when is the best time to do jiu-jitsu? The best time to do jiu-jitsu is now. That's the best time. You should do it. You know, and I think the best advice okay, so where do I go? How do I start? It's you find a place that you feel comfortable. You know, you go to a place that you feel comfortable, that has your best interests at heart, and where you can learn and you grow. You know, I think that if you go somewhere that you don't feel comfortable, it's going to be very hard to grow from that in that area, in that place. And so, you know, everyone is more than welcome at Atos Jiu-Jitsu Guam. You know, we're open for everyone. We're there for everyone. I believe that we are here to serve, and we can serve everyone, and um, and we have many programs available, you know, and I think that's something important too nowadays in jiu-jitsu is there's programs now available for there's a 3 to 5 program, 6 to 8 program, 9 to 13 program. We have an advanced class, you know, we have a basics program. So a women's program now, yeah. And so, you know, morning classes, evening classes. And so, you know, I think the one of the goals of our gym is just to have a schedule available, have programs available for everyone, you know, that has everyone has different needs, everyone has different goals, and it doesn't matter if you want to be one of the best in the world, want to be a world champion, or you just want to do jiu-jitsu just to get in shape and to feel good or to be a part of a community. I definitely think jiu-jitsu is for everyone. And in Altos Jiu-Jitsu Guam, I really believe that we're open for everyone, and we
Yeah.
really want everyone to try it. Yeah.
So when
Right.
we first open, I would say maybe like 90 to 95% completely brand new
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu. Like
And I
no
think that's so cool.
kids and adults, completely brand new. Now, of course, we're 4 years in. We're starting our 5th year. A lot of them have been promoted blue, purple belt. They won tournaments. And even for the kids, like I get parents all the time tell me my son has never done any sport. Never he's in middle school now, we need him to do something. Never done anything. Um and then they come in and like they're thriving now, you
Yeah.
know? We have kids like some girls are like so quiet. The mom's like, I don't know. Her brother's doing it, but I don't know if she should, and she like cannot doesn't respond to the coaches, doesn't talk, doesn't so shy. And then now this girl's taking down boys, or
Power of
competing.
jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and
Right.
like
Yeah.
the fact that like literally 90 to 95% they were all brand new to jiu-jitsu. Not like literally like never have done jiu-jitsu before.
Yeah.
And now they show up every single day, It's just
And I
think
think that's a super rewarding part is
Yeah.
seeing that, is seeing like kids or even adults that maybe you know are shy or are like even insecure in a way, right? Like maybe, you know, I don't want to use that word, but maybe something like that. And through jiu-jitsu they gain confidence, they walk better, they think of themselves better, and because of that, you know, they're able to I believe because of that they're able to like you know express themselves in the best way and be able to live up to their full potential that God gave them, you know. And I think that I think that's what jiu-jitsu does is it
And it's
makes them,
literally for
yeah.
everyone. If you come in, you see all walks of life, like different people, even different kinds of kids, like different adults, like what they do, how they are, like how they were raised, where they're from. Like it's just really cool to see, like, uh, to be able to see everyone on the mats together. And they're just so different, so different. Like it's just really, I mean, there's no other way to say it. It's just so cool to see,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes like in other sports, maybe like if you're basketball and you go to a basketball tournament, or game, they're all they're all very much alike. If you go to a jiu-jitsu tournament, our youngest competitor is 3 and our oldest is 70, and it's just very cool to see. I think it's
Yeah,
so cool to
and
say
I
that.
think also too though that it's really nice to see it's really nice to see like our kids, or even our adults, right? But maybe our kids more so, they jujitsu like it makes them like confident, But I think that I try to guide them in a way that I want them to be confident, but I want them to be humble
Yeah.
too, I don't want them to be cocky or anything like that, and I think I just try to preach those values, and I practice what I preach as
Yeah.
well. I'm not perfect, but I do my best, and I'm always recognizing if I need to do better, and I think with our kids, I love seeing maybe a kid you would never think would do jiu-jitsu, or you would never think or just you see them, they're they're not as confident, right? And I love seeing the transformation that jujitsu does for them. And I know that it makes it more of a more positive and it's a positive impact in their life. And the parents tell us this all the time. The kids, we see it in the kids all the time. And I think that's amazing because um like you said with yoga, right? It goes beyond just the art of yoga, right? It's the same like jiu-jitsu. It goes beyond just the art of jiu-jitsu. It's the things that come from it. And I love that, not we don't just have a business that will that provides for our son,
Mm-hmm.
Um but it also it allows us to it allows our passion, to be able to be able to help our community, to help the island, and I always say this story, right? That when we first moved back home, people were always thanking us. They were always saying, "Hey, thank you guys for moving home. Thank you for starting Autos Jiu-Jitsu." And I never really understood why people thanked us. I never understood why they thanked us for moving home. But then I realized that that it's not easy to live on Guam, right? It's not easy to live on Guam. I'm sure everyone can agree with me on that, right? But it's worth it for sure. But it's hard because uh, the people that live in the states that are from Guam, why don't they move back home? The life out there is amazing, just like it is here. It's just different. But the life out there is amazing. You're in your own little world, right? And it's great. And so when we moved back home and people would tell me that, I didn't realize it until I realized how tough it is to to live on island, right? But at the same time, not many people when they leave, right, they gain experience doing something. Maybe this person went to med school and they're a doctor and they have experience working at this hospital. I moved off island for jiu-jitsu. I worked and learned at the best jiu-jitsu school in the world. I gained experience competing in off-island tournaments. And now I brought that experience. I brought those things back home to Guam, where now we are serving our community. We're helping our island. We're helping our youth, and the people here. And now I understand why people thanked us is
Mm-hmm.
because I think that's the circle of life here on Guam, right? You raise the youth up, they get old enough, they go off island, they experience new things, they learn, they grow, and they come back and they bring it to make our island better. And it's just a circle of life. And now I understand why people thanked us, and I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for what we do here. I don't take it lightly, and I don't say this with like cockiness. I say this with like humbleness and gratefulness, and we're proud of what we do. We're very proud of what we do because it's not easy, it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of faith, you know, and but I love what we do, you know.
And honestly, Liv, we learned a lot from you. I remember the first
Mhm.
year when not even like, yeah, maybe first couple months of opening, we saw, I was obviously talking a lot with you, and we learned a lot from you. And I remember the very first fest we were part of.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And I think like that was an eye opener for us, because I was like, wow, Guam people do care about their health and their wellness, and just seeing a community come out, I think that really inspired us a lot. That was the very first one at Hyatt, and I remember we were right at the front, and just to see everyone keep walking in, I mean, you've changed the community on Guam,
Definitely.
the wellness community, the
Yep.
just not about being healthy, but doing it together,
Mm.
doing it with people, having the accountability. A lot of, and like, the women's chat for us, like, are you gonna go to class today? Are you gonna go to class today? I think that doing it together with people, I think you really have shown the island that, like, we need to be healthy, we need to be physically, mentally healthy, let's do it together. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of that translates into jiu-jitsu, but seeing you do that for the island, and then, when we first opened up, and you were doing this, we were like, you really inspired us.
Oh,
You
thank
really
you.
inspired us.
Definitely.
Wow.
And I know what you're doing is not easy, right? The wellness fest, like that's not easy to do. You definitely took probably what you would call a leap of faith
Oh
to do
yes.
that, right?
Guam never had that.
But, you know, like, I think if it was easy, we would have many of it. If it was easy, everyone would do it, you know, but it's
Right.
not easy.
No.
So, you know, shout out to you, shout out to everyone on Guam doing their best and actually, you know, doing things and with good intentions and, you know, and, you know, cause it's tough being on island. It's tough. Like, you know, in San Diego, of course, your whole life, you always, you know, you're going to receive criticism. You're going to receive some type of energy that maybe is not maybe positive in a way or just whatever, you know. And on island, it's so easy to feel that. It's so easy to see it. It's so easy to be around it. In San Diego, it's like I go to a
Big fight.
tournament
Yeah.
and someone's like, you know, like they don't like autos or they don't like us. It's like, man, I'm not gonna see this person for another 4 months, you know, like. But on Guam, it's you know, it's a lot easier to feel these things or to hear these things and things like that. You know, I always, you know, people ask us, well, how do you deal with that? You know, and I think we just always focus on the good. We focus on the positive. We focus on the things we're doing, you know, because I think the second we lose our focus and we focus on other people or other things or this that was said or with this that was heard, then we stop taking away from the good that we're doing, you know, and I don't think that's fair, you know. So shout out to you for what you're doing because I know it's
No,
not
thank
easy, you know.
much of what you're saying.
Yeah,
I'm like nodding, like, yes, yes, yes. But
yeah,
I want to thank you guys for moving home, because what you're creating, I really do look at the community that you're building, just how people their lives are being changed, right? And as I mentioned to you, before we pressed record, I'm like, I'm waiting to enroll Sky in
yeah.
Autos, my son. I've been waiting. I know that the age is 3, so I'm like, let's get him in there as soon as possible. So I know I'll be in your world, in your space more
Let's
to
go
come.
live.
But I want to thank you guys for being on here and just for sharing your story. I know it's going to inspire so many people. You might have a line of Wellness people outside of your door
Hey,
after this
thank
episode. So thank you guys so much, and we'll
thanks,
see you on the
Liv.
next episode.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks for listening. If you like this episode, please rate and review, and don't forget to subscribe. Learn more at enowellnesscollective.com and connect with us on Instagram at enowellnesscollective.